Today, we're going to talk about the Bulls' win over the Toronto Raptors, Zach Lavine's big night, and then with more rest coming, how is that going to help Zach Lavine be available for more games? We're going to get into all that and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Sweatblock. If you or someone you love is experiencing embarrassing sweat or odor, try Sweatblock. Save 20% with promo code LOCKEDON at sweatblock.com, also available on Amazon. That's Pat, the designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central. Nonetheless, bro, we got a victory to talk about, man. Zach Lavine stepping up with a big 30-point performance tonight against the Toronto Raptors, bro. How do you feel about the win?
Good win, right? Zach's first 30-point game of the season. I think that, and if you guys were over on the Windy City Breeze live, you saw me kind of starting to rage a little bit early because it seemed like
turnovers early.
Oh no, it wasn't the turnovers, right? It was the right, like y'all were killing Billy Donovan for the fourth quarter yesterday. I was killing him for how the team started because there's no game plan that makes sense when there's a dude that literally didn't play yesterday and he's Zach Lavine and you're not giving him the ball. But at a certain point, right, like you saw that first quarter, they got the bench unit in. All of a sudden, the bench just started giving Zach the ball, and the Bulls got back in it. I thought Zach Lavine did a really good job tonight, and he did a lot of what I've talked about over here on this show and over on the Windy City Breeze, right, where I'm fine with you playing the rest game with Zach Lavine. I'm fine with you, kind of allowing him to slowly work his way back into this NBA season. He didn't play a lot of basketball this offseason, but he has to come out and he's second of back-to-backs and play well, and he did that today. Today he came out. He was pretty even keel throughout the entire game, had 20 going into the third. You saw him really turn it on in the fourth. Got a hot first quarter going there, right? Those are the things that keep the Bulls close into this, and you realize who your players are that are going to put you over the top in these second of back-to-backs. And Zach Lavine did a great job tonight at that. So I really like what we saw from Zach. I thought that he really set the tone for the team tonight, and they kind of followed suit, right? Like they got down early, and then once Zach started cooking, you saw the rest of the team start to get going a little bit as well.
So a lot has been made, and a lot of questions by fans of Zach Lavine not really going to the lane as much. It seemed like he took that and wanted to prove the point that he still could. And I will say this, it seemed like he did so a little bit more intelligently than what we've seen with Zach Lavine's drives. Like he went there with the purpose of, I can get this bucket, but I'm probably also going to get fouled and get to the free throw line. It seemed like Zach Lavine, like it wasn't just the all-out aggressive Zach going to the middle hard. It was more of a controlled type of thing that I really did enjoy with Zach Lavine's game as far as getting to the rim a little bit today.
I think it's all about the situation too, right? Like you see a situation now where a lot of teams are going to say, hey, listen, you want to take those deep threes, you want to take those, not to say that we're just going to give them to you, right? We're more willing to give them those to you. And teams still are that way, right? They fear more of Zach driving to the bucket, dunking the ball on your head than taking a deep three and knocking it down. But Toronto tonight, right, because of how they was playing, they were aggressively running out to the three-point line because they were trying to double team off of DeMar, off of Vooch, and then over to Zach, right? And you saw that double team work against the Bulls in Toronto, right? But when you add Zach Lavine back into that mix and he's able to go out there and knock down that three ball, then you have to rush out aggressively. Now all of a sudden, right, you saw Zach just like eyebrow fake, little bit of a rock, like, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden, like, there goes somebody flying past him into the third row, and he's like, well, I guess I got to drive the basketball now. Like, there's no choice. So I think that it's more of the circumstance. I think the Bulls are playing smarter basketball, and they're just still trying to get used to what's happening early in the season and adjusting to a lot of the things that they're going to see as teams are coming out and playing different defenses against them, right? And focusing in very much on DeMar. So, and like we saw from tonight from DeMar, not a high scoring game for DeMar. I believe still subpar 10 on scoring wise, right? And Zach Lavine really stepping up in those moments. So really good to see. I thought they did a good job outside of that start to the game, keeping Zach involved. And I thought Billy Donovan did a good job rotating him in with different lineups.
Yeah, for sure. I think the supporting cast did better in moving without the ball today all night,
Yeah.
especially Derrick Jones Jr. When you look at Derrick Jones Jr., somebody over in the postgame show over in Chicago Bulls Central asked, why doesn't Derrick Jones Jr. play more minutes? And the reasoning that I gave is because keeping his minutes low, it allows him to play with high energy all 13 minutes he was out there. He was all over the place, getting rebounds, getting putbacks, getting dunks. He almost took somebody's head off.
Yeah.
Thad want nothing to do with that Derrick Jones Jr. dunk at all. He got up out the way. He thought about it for a second. It was like, you know what?
About it.
I ain't got nothing to prove. I'm a vet. I ain't got nothing to prove. You go. You got it. You got it, young fella. So I love seeing that from this team. Who do you think out of the supporting cast today? Who was the one that stood out to you the most today?
Who stood out the most to me today? Probably DJJ, right? I think DJJ, we talked about the Thad dunk, right? Like that's an exciting play. And he has those moments where comes out, gives you that exciting play, gives you that big boost of energy. And then all of a sudden, the Bulls are able to get on a little bit of a run. But a lot of that stuff is off the defensive end too. Derrick Jones Jr., this is probably the best defense I've really seen him play in his career. He's been a really good defender for most of his career, but this is probably the best I've seen him defend. He's meeting you at the rim for block shots. He's doing a great job poking the ball away. He's doing a great job, right, funneling guys into other defenders. I mean, how many times this season have we seen him just throw his body at somebody and they turn off right into AC? So I think that DJJ has been the guy who's really stood out to me the most. I mean, Javante's kind of had moments, but he's been more of Javante from last season probably than anything different that we've seen, right? Like I think we all thought after seeing him shoot like 97.9% in the preseason that maybe he was going to be a little bit more effective offensively. And he's had certain games where he has, and he's had those 3 balls that he's knocked down, but he's been more like the Javante of last season, which is still a really, really good bench player for you. Is something that you really need. And I mean, I guess you could say I can't. You could still say the Dragon, bro. Dragic has been
that. Listen,
Dragic has been. They don't think he's as fast as he is. No one thinks he's as fast as he is.
You're absolutely correct. Nobody thinks he's as fast as he is because listen, and I don't even know if it is that fast. I think it's more quick than fast. He's decisive.
Quick. It's quick.
He just knows what he's going to do. Gordon Dragic, I was like, hey, Gordon, I don't know how much of a role he's going to have on this team. Now I'm like, hey, listen, play Gordon more, bro. Like, Gordon he's balling out there.
Now, that's where we differ. No, play Gordon just the right amount because I need him to be good by the time the playoffs get here.
Listen, I get by the playoffs. He played 25 minutes in this game, all effective. I like having Gordon also out there with Zach and DeMar, which we got to see a little bit of today because it really opens things up if they are guarding both Zach and DeMar. Like, it was good. And shout out to DeMar, too, for being able to defer, right? Doing that part of his game and not shying away from that. That's what we're going to get into a little bit more in the second segment. But I definitely wanted to call that out here as well before we get into that. Now, one thing that I want to ask you, we've gotten a couple good games from Patrick Williams. I think this was Patrick Williams' best game on both sides of the ball today.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
What game do you think he played better on both sides of the ball the same game?
The game where he had 16 points. Because he was playing some pretty solid defense in that one. Ain't that the Brooklyn game? Is that the Brooklyn game? Or is that the game after that? I don't know. He's being aggressive one of them games. No, that 2 games ago,
that was
right?
against Charlotte. That was
against Charlotte. That's probably his best game. Against Charlotte, Patrick Williams was cooking on both sides of the court. But I will say, right, like I think in these last 2 games, we've seen P. Will do some really good things versus Scotty Barnes, who, normally is cooking teams, right? Scotty Barnes has been a really good player early on in his NBA career. And I think Patrick Williams also takes a little bit, I think that FSU bond, right? He takes a little bit more, okay, listen, you probably the dude that was going up against Scotty Barnes played awful tonight for the Toronto Raptors. 5.6 rebounds, 2 for 9, and a lot of those shots, right, because Patrick Williams did a really, really good job defensively on him. He's taking away Scotty Barnes is like, that's the guy. That was your rookie of the year runner-up right there. I know, did he win? I keep forgetting who won it. Yeah, he won it. He won it. Evan Mobley was runner-up. That was your rookie of the year last year, and Patrick Williams was like, nah, we're not doing that. So I think that he's played really well. I think that he's playing into a role. Right. Yeah, and you kind of see it, right? Like the games where Zach Lavine isn't there, you see Patrick Williams doing a lot more offensively. He's getting into the 10, 12 shot range. The games where Zach Lavine is there, you see him getting into the 8 to 10 shot range. And then being efficient on that, doing a good job rebounding, doing a good job defensively. Didn't play as much in this game, only 24 minutes, but I think that he's kind of just starting to find his groove. And I think there has to be, like I said, right, in that game versus Charlotte, in that game, not really so much in Toronto, but we've seen when you go to him with the ball, he can make plays. And so my question around Patrick Williams is, are we hindering him? Are we holding him back by not giving him the opportunity to make plays when you've got a full slate of guys in here, especially in a game where you knew they were going to be double teaming DeMar because they just did it the night before?
I mean, I think, yeah. I mean, we need to develop that part of Patrick Williams' game. We've been on this. Like, Patrick Williams is way more aggressive, way more engaged, and is typically better when he has the ball in his hands. And I understand why he does it on a team like this, but I do think that they need, and as he plays better and he's consistent, I think that they're going to work that into his game. I think
they'll run more for him.
Building blocks. So they'll run more for him, especially like when you see it at times. Literally, it's like Patrick Williams every game has it's like 3 possessions in a row where it's like P. Will's cooking and you're thinking, hey, is he about to get rolling? But then they go away from him. But yeah, P. Will, and to the comment we have here about P. Will and Io's chemistry, they are developing a nice chemistry, and then I love that because that's the future of this team in a lot of ways.
Nasty oop tonight from them too, by the way.
Yeah,
bro.
bro.
Nasty oop. I like
nasty
that.
Oop.
Hey, and he be floating too. I swear he be floating. He got that weird Jimmy Butler jump where you look at it and you be like, bro, you shouldn't jump that high.
Yeah, for sure. Next up, we're going to talk about DeMar DeRozan and him taking a bit of a backseat and what that may look like going forward and how it actually helps the team. But first, got to talk to you guys about Sweat Block. Rebecca would watch her teenage daughter suffer through low self-esteem caused by embarrassing sweat. Rebecca got a text after her teen's first use of Sweat Block. I'm not sweating. They both cried tears of joy. Rebecca was able to fix her problem with Sweat Block. Sweat Block wipes are your little secret to confidence. The Sweat Block wipes work up to 7 days per use. First of all, never mind. Let me stop with that. Apply them on a Sunday and you will stay dry all week. If you or someone you love is experiencing embarrassing sweat or odor, try Sweat Block. Save 20% with promo code LOCKEDON at sweatblock.com. Also available on Amazon. 7 days.
This was wild. Hey, I'm a sweaty dude. I'm going to try it. Hey, I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Bulls your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On Sports Today for the games that matter the most and the biggest stories in sports. Go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insight that only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today available here on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
Dun, dun, dun.
I'm a 2 shower a day kind of guy sometimes.
Oh, bro, multiple. Some days, if depending on what I'm doing, it may be a 3-dayer, bro.
I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. This total stuff. If you're not doing 2 showers a day,
as an adult,
I mean, you moving and you got kids, you're not doing 2 showers a day.
That's weird, bro.
I got some questions.
That's strange. It's real weird, bro. It's real weird. But with that being said, DeMar DeRozan in this game, bro, less than double digits for the second time this season. And they both come in wins, no less than that. What do you think about DeMar DeRozan playing a little bit smarter? 7 assists, 6 rebounds, 1 steal in this game, only 9 points. But you take those 9 points, throw those away. Don't even worry about the output on the points. I would still say DeMar had a really solid game, a smart game from him as well, being nullified by the Toronto Raptors defense. What do you think about it, bro?
We talked about this, man. Like, these are the kind of games that I want to see this season. These are the games that I want to see. Now, listen, 9 points, right? Like, maybe not that low, but these are the games that I want to see with DeMar DeRozan. These are the games that I want to see, okay, how's he going to affect the game outside of just scoring the basketball? Because, right, we would see games last year, DeMar's got 47 points, 1 assist, 1 rebound. And it's like, all right, well, we know what he did tonight. You know what I mean? But then also with that, you see a lot of time the team gets stagnant. And I think that this is better for the Bulls to see games like this where Zach Lavine's in there and he has these moments, right? Because in these situations, these are the moments that you're going to be in when the playoffs get here. Do you think nobody else is going to look at the Toronto Raptors, how they defended DeMar, and say, hey, we can do that, and it takes him away. We're going to run a double team. We're going to attack this way. Now, the thing is, right, you can't do that all the time, and you saw Toronto couldn't do it nearly as much tonight because Zach Lavine was being able to knock down shots. He was being able to get to the bucket. But I just think that this is the DeMar that I want to see, maybe with a little bit more scoring output, because I think this is the best DeMar for this Bulls team. It's the DeMar that gets everybody else involved. Now, I do think, right, and Billy Donovan spoke to this, the Bulls are passing the ball a lot more this season, moving the ball around a lot more this season, and it is leading to a lot more turnovers this season. A lot of those off of that DeMar DeRozan double team, right? But I think that this is the recipe for the Bulls' success, minus the turnovers. Maybe get that turnover number down, but sub 20. That'd be nice. But I think this is the recipe where if DeMar DeRozan's a 22 to 25 point per game guy, and he's giving you 6 to 7 assists, now that means Ayo Dosunmu's knocking down shots. Now that means, and DeMar DeRozan, to his credit, absolutely was looking for Patrick Williams.
Oh, for sure.
He was like,
Zach was at times too. They
were looking to find him. So I like this. I like the recipe here. Maybe a little more point production, but to your credit, Toronto did a great job taking away DeMar, who's going to step up in those moments. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what everything comes down to. When you get contributions from both Ayo Dosunmu and Patrick Williams, in which they combine for over 20 points and 10 rebounds and things like that, that's good from those two players. I do think Ayo's aggressiveness scoring wise, it's going to bubble over at some point. We're looking at Ayo, like the way that he is offensively has been huge. And that comes from, I remember somebody in the comments of this when we talked about DeMar maybe taking a little bit of a step back, and they were a little bit triggered by that. He's doing those type of things. Like DeMar is playing the game now where he's not having the numbers that he was having, but his efficiency's better, everything's better. And that's also because the team is giving him more help and helping him better as well. So love that from DeMar. Love this game overall from everybody, bro. Like everybody who checked in this game did some damage at one point or another. Everybody who checked in did some damage, carried their own weight, helped this team get to victory. And, there's going to be times where it's DeMar who teams try to stop. There's going to be times where it's Zach that they focus in on stopping. But the key thing is that you can't stop. It's going to be very rare that you can stop DeMar and Zach and Vooch. And if you have this type of output from your bench and the other starters in the starting lineup, that's a dangerous team.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, right, like you're trying to the unselfish basketball, the moving the ball around, you're trying to find some answers early on in the season for what's going to be coming outside of DeMar DeRozan having a big game, right? Because here's the thing. If Ayo, and you want to do this early for this reason, if Ayo starts cooking, if P. Will starts cooking, right? I think Vooch not cooking as much has been in relationship of Andre Drummond not being there. He's having to play a little bit more, maybe a little bit more tired, different things like that. But if all these other guys start playing really well, you know what teams can't do then? They can't double team DeMar. And Mr. Two Dribble Pull-Up is right back in the game. Or you're going to double team DeMar and you're going to concede that somebody else has to beat you, which in a game like tonight, right? And I think this is why, like we talked about Patrick Williams, this is a reason why I think in those moments you want to get him going, because he's a guy that, whether he's aggressive or not, P. Will rarely has inefficient games. Rarely has inefficient games. Yeah. So I think that's a guy that you might want to get going a little bit more because he's an efficient scorer.
For sure. I mean, he shoots the ball almost 50% for his career. So
that's
wild. Yeah, it's crazy. He hasn't taken a lot of shots over his career. Do you know what's crazy? So because people so much on Twitter, I was in this conversation talk about, Markkanen was so much further ahead than Patrick Williams at this point in the season. So I looked at it. We all know that Patrick Williams hasn't had that many shots. So the amount of shots that Patrick Williams had in his first full season and last season, total, how many games do you think it took Lauri to get that amount of shots?
Well, Lauri was the only dude on the team that mattered because Zach was still hurt when Lauri first got drafted, so probably 20.
Lauri Markkanen in the first 42 games of his career took more shots than Patrick Williams the first almost 90 games of his career.
Yeah, no.
Let it come along. It's gonna take a minute when you doing that.
That's not surprising, but it's also right. The focal point. Lauri Markkanen was the focal point. Right now, Patrick Williams isn't the focal point. I mean, Patrick Williams is your fourth option, essentially, right? Like he's your fifth. He's not even. He's your fifth option if we're being 100% honest, right? Ayo Dosunmu was your fourth option. Let me ask you this before we go into this final segment here. when you're seeing what Io is doing, and you're seeing, right, I think in the last few games, right, he's still played pretty well defensively. He's still been able to score the ball, but I think he's come back to earth a little bit with the frequency of him trying to score, the frequency of him attacking. Does it change your mindset at all on where Io is in relation to Lonzo Ball? Because I think you had got to the point where you were like, hey, maybe we do got to have the conversation. Are we still having the conversation when that time comes? Because Lonzo, by the way, update, I don't know if we even said this on here. They did update that Lonzo Ball is at least moving around in a pool again.
Yeah.
He's feeling much better. He's feeling healthier.
The most optimistic that they've been so far.
It was a real update. It was a real update. By the way, he's back in the pool. So what LeVar said.
I still think when it's all said and done, once Lonzo's back in rhythm, healthy, things like that, he's still our starting point guard.
Okay.
He's still our starting point guard.
Okay. I know, right? First game, like everybody was losing their mind. Al goes for 17. It's like, oh my God, here we go. So I thought maybe we was back in on that. So y'all let us know in the comments below where you feel Ayo Dosunmu will be when Lonzo Ball gets back. I mean, he's still developing. He's still really moving in the right direction. But before we get into this next topic, we do want to talk to you guys about BetOnline.net. It's your number one source for all sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from football to NBA to soccer and esports. We've got it all at BetOnline, and if you love sports podcasts, you can find those at BetOnline as well. Always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. Head to the website today. Use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline. It's where the game starts.
All right, Pat. So we go into a stretch now where we have a lot more space between games for about the next month. What do you think that does for the overall health of this team, for the amount of games that we see Zach Lavine? How do you think that this added time and space and rest between games helps this team maybe get to that next level? Maybe put together a nice little winning streak as well.
I think it will. I honestly do. I think that it's the difference in what we've seen a lot from this team, right? We haven't seen this team with rest. We haven't seen this team not off of back-to-backs. We haven't seen this team not playing a game where you were down to the wire or trying to fight back to get the lead, right? Like, there were some things where the Bulls shot themselves in the foot, and I think that they can learn from these, but I look at where the Bulls are heading schedule-wise, and I think we got one Wednesday, and then our next game's what, Sunday? Saturday? Sunday? That means that you should not only be 110% ready for these games. We should not see fourth quarter lulls, but we should see you be able to have your full slate of offense ready to attack. And I think the biggest thing is here, right? Like, now we should be able to see the Chicago Bulls not having to rest Zach Lavine every single night that there's a second of a back-to-back or there's something, you know what I'm saying? So I think that this will set the Bulls up nicely, and maybe we'll see a little bit of a winning streak. Maybe this will be the start of a little bit of a winning streak. Heading up against some teams that tonight, right, the Pelicans had a little bit of a down night. CJ McCollum was awful tonight. I think he only had 9 points as well. So it should set you up pretty nicely moving forward. And the Bulls schedule a little, if I'm not mistaken, a little bit more forgiving coming up, right? I mean, I know we got the Pelicans, but then what do we got after that?
It gets super forgiving in the middle of December. So after that back-to-back in December, which is the 10th and 11th, we then have New York and New York, the 14th and 16th, Minnesota, Miami, Atlanta, New York again, Houston.
How you get to December, my boy?
Huh?
How you get to December?
Because that's when it gets easy again. Because this doesn't get easy. I'm talking about the competition. So outside of December, so this is what we have the rest of November. We got New Orleans, Denver, New Orleans, Orlando, Boston, Milwaukee, OKC, which Utah, Phoenix, Golden State. That puts us in December.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel like we should. New Orleans is tough. We need Drummond back. We need Drummond back for New Orleans. We should win New Orleans though.
I think personally over the how many games we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Bro, the Nuggets just been silently killing the game, huh?
8. We got 9 games left in the month of November. I'm saying in that month of November, we're going 6-3 or 5-4 at the worst.
I'll say 5-4. I think here's the thing, right? This is the part where this schedule comes in, and where you feel good about this Bulls team, and why you hope that everybody's able to stay healthy throughout the most of this season. There's games on here, right, where you're gonna need everybody to perform. You're gonna need high quality offense. And I mean, honestly, right, like when you think about it, the Bulls put up 111 points tonight. DeMar was 9 of those. So we need games like that where you're seeing the Bulls do that high quality defense. And you've seen this season, this is not the same Chicago Bulls team as last season. This is a team that is going to come out and compete every single night. So I look at a lot of these games, and the fact that, right, when I said a break in the schedule, I just meant like you're not playing every night. You're not on a back-to-back. Now you still got less rest.
Yeah.
Than a lot of the teams on here. But like you've got the Pelicans on the 9th, Nuggets on the 13th, Pelicans on the 16th, which is okay. No, both of these are we at home for the next 3 games too. So shout out to that. Then we come back for the Magic, we come back for the Celtics, and the Bulls have been a really good home team. No, because we literally just go to New Orleans. You said what?
You counted tonight because you said the next 3 were home. We're home the next 2.
Oh, home in the next 2. I was counting tonight. My bad.
Okay.
Yeah, the home in the next 2, Pelicans and Nuggets, and then you go to New Orleans, which we in New Orleans, and then you're back home for 2 more games for the Magic, the Celtics, and then you actually play the Bucks, which is a drive up to Milwaukee. So I think that this is one of the, like, when you're talking about rest and just being home, and the Bulls have been a pretty good team in the UC. They've struggled a little more on the road. This is a part of your schedule where you can definitely pick up some wins here. I don't know if you're gonna get 6-3, maybe, like you said, but that's gonna be. I think there's some. I could see 4 or 5 losses in here too. So I'm not gonna guarantee nothing out here.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get the Shaq button. Or no, what is it? The Chuck button. Guarantee.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean. Bulls, I mean, they face some good teams. Like I said before, by the end of November, we're going to know exactly what team we have. And the picture's starting to come together a little bit more. We're starting to see the team that we have. And this is a team that likes to move the ball. We need to shoot the ball better. I would like us to shoot the ball better from 3 overall and get it to a better place with that. I think that's going to come at some point. But overall, I know we're 6-6. I know we're 500, and people aren't necessarily happy with that. I understand that. But there's been a lot of positivity to take away from this team and where we sit right now, considering we've now missed Andre Drummond for half our games. We've played 12 games. He's missed 6 games now. We've missed Zach Lavine for 5 out of our 12 games. So as we get back healthy, I'm really excited for what this team could look like.
Let me ask you this. Does it look like the Bulls are a team that understands what they went through last season, or does it look like the Bulls are a team that are struggling?
No, it looks like a team that understands what they went through last season. They're trying to pace themselves. That seems like the overall methodology of the franchise right now. Is let's pace ourselves. Let's not front load it and then look like shit halfway through the season and stumble into the playoffs. Let's be consistent this season. We can say shit. Shit's a word I can say on.
Can we pull that one off? Can we? I'll let you.
I'll
let you have it. I don't know.
I think we got that.
David Locke just walks in the background. But how the?
Yeah.
This man's AK.
Go ahead and clock out for me. Go ahead and clock out for me.
Just a hand on the shoulder. Go ahead, clock out for me.
Go ahead and clock out for me.
No, but yeah. I agree with you. I feel like the Bulls, like I also am not a person that cares that much about the beginning of the regular season. I know that there's a lot of people that think that you have to live or die by every single game. But I'll tell you this right now, right? The Milwaukee Bucks lost their first game tonight, and they were, 7-0, 8-0, something like that before that. Yeah. If they go on a stretch where they lose 4 or 5 games, that 8-0 record don't matter. So I kind of, it just doesn't, right? Like that's just how math works. And it's absolutely possible, right? You lose guys to injury, you lose, like, I get it gives you a buffer, but I'm looking at where the Bulls are right now. Not to say that I want to see them lose these games, but it does. It feels like not only are the players kind of pacing themselves, like it feels like Zach is playing a lot more methodical. Like just like I'm gonna just take my time and get into this. Which has irritated me some this season. I'm not going to act like it hasn't. But I feel like the team as a whole, like AK understood. No, he's not playing second of back-to-backs. He's not doing that. Even with Andre Drummond, right? Drummond probably could have come back by now.
If this was a playoff series, he would have been back.
He'd have been back.
Yeah.
I don't know what Kobe's situation is. It's a quad now. Like the injury just like it did it move? Like, or did they misreport? Like, I don't get how Kobe White's injuries work, bro.
Leave it up to Kobe to start off with one injury, and then while he's injured, gets another injury.
I don't know if that's what it was either. Like, I don't know what happened. Like, it's like they just misdiagnosed it. Be like, oh, his shoulder's messed up. Never mind. Yeah. It was his quad the entire time. Like, what? Like,
it was the whole entire time. No. What's crazy is right now is that between the East right now, we know it's early in the season. From seed number 3 to seed number 10, 2.5 games separate those teams. It's gonna be a dogfight in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, and by the way, I don't want to hear anybody talking to me about seeding until we get to 25 to 30 games.
Please. No, matter of fact, even that.
I literally had somebody tell me, man, the Bulls are 6th in the Eastern Conference. I told y'all that's where they would be at.
Bro, we is 12 games in. I don't want to hear nothing about seeding until we're at least 40 games into the season. Don't talk to me about nothing about seeding. I don't want to hear nothing about seeding. But that's it, bro. If you got nothing else, man, go ahead and send this on.
I ain't got nothing else, man. Follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. Make sure you follow me over at Pat the Designer. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love, man. You can catch every live call over on the Windy City Breeze.
And you guys can follow me over at CEO Haize, the CEO, Haize. And thank you for making Locked On Bulls your first listen every day. Now for your second listen, go and check on Locked On Sports today. From the games that matter to the most, from the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights on Locked On that only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports today, available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. For Pat the Designer, I'm Haize. This is Locked On Bulls. We out this month. Peace, y'all.
Peace. Yeah. That wasn't a good one.